I'm with Dena Francis today, the COO of Encompass Technology and Telomack Cabling Services. So welcome, Dena.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us today.
Yeah.
So, Dena, I know that you, through Encompass Technology and Telomack Services, Cabling Solutions, is really utilizing the why in a lot of the work that you do. So, can you give us an idea of what your why is, please?
Sure. My why is clarify, which means for me, I am always seeking information to help with decision-making processes. I think everybody who knows me would describe me as curious. I ask why a lot. And when they give me an answer, I'll ask why again. And then when they give me an answer to that, I'll probably ask why again. Because I'm looking to really have a depth of knowledge and understanding, whether it's broad and deep, so that I can help just in making decisions and making choices about things that are in the best interest of myself or the company or an employee or whatever. So my why is clarity.
Your why is clarity. What is your how?
My how is make sense.
Ooh.
So yeah. So I think that what that means is I can take a broad spectrum of information, of data, sometimes simple, sometimes things that don't necessarily relate to each other. And then as I dig into that, try to understand it, I try to bring a lot of information together in a way that is easily understandable by other people. I can explain concepts, or I can summarize information, and then that just kind of helps us be able to make choices and move forward and do things that are, and that make sense to the rest of the team. It also helps us when there's a lot of information. I think I can move through it pretty quickly. I can take a lot of data and summarize it so that I don't have to take a 2,000 line spreadsheet and walk everybody through the whole thing. I can just get to the bottom line and say, here's the numbers and this is where we are. And, so it saves them the headache of having to redo what I've already done. So.
Yeah. I've heard you many times say, does this make sense? Right? Yeah, that's one of your terms, right? It's like, does this make sense? Or why are we doing this, right? Does this make sense?
What I'm saying? Yeah. So,
and your what is mastery, correct?
My what is mastery. So, just meaning, I think this comes from just naturally. I think I have having 5 kids. So I've had I've often thought of it as a mini business at home, because I have 5 children that I'm always trying to manage schedules and manage personalities and manage priorities and manage, who gets to do what, when, and how, and whatever. So, so mastery for me means to be able to take all of it and look at all of it and help each one of them figure out what is in their best interest, or what helps the whole group move forward, or be able to do what they need to do. Fantastic.
Awesome. So your why is clarify, your how is make sense, and your what is mastery. Fantastic. Awesome. And for a COO, I think that's pretty important for what you're doing, right? In the realm that you're in today.
Yeah, it does come in handy. Although I will say sometimes people feel like I move a little slow because I'm looking for more information. And so I think my challenge is having enough. I don't have to have all of it. I just need to feel like I have enough that I can be comfortable making a decision, or making a choice, or making a recommendation, even if I don't know everything. And so that's been part of my development. And as I've learned that that's my why, this is how I've always operated in my life. But understanding that about myself makes it easier for me to see when it's okay to ask questions and know, and then when it's okay to say, okay, Dena, that's enough. You have enough information. You don't need to keep digging.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does your why mean to you?
Well, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think for me, it means that curiosity is a good thing for me, and discovery is a good thing for me. And I think it's part of the reason why I am a perpetual student. I love learning. So it's not just about whatever problem it is that's at hand, but my natural instinct is to discover things. So I think for me, it just is naturally an expression of my interest, and that I can pursue information and different, all different types of things, whether
Yeah.
it's cooking or if it's working or if it's a different culture or traveling. I'm naturally inclined to want to know things.
All
And
right.
so that, I think, is part of the reason why, understanding that that's my why, and then my how is to make things work better, and to bring information in. The whole thing for me when I did the why, it was like, oh yeah, okay. That makes sense. That
Does make
describes me
sense, right?
perfectly. So now I can be like, okay, well, just go see my why. That's who I am, so.
There you go. So on that note, how have you used or implemented your why now in your life, whether that be personal or professional?
So I think that on the professional side, um, because I'm in charge of operations, and in the company
Mm-hmm.
where everything's technical, but I am the least technical person in the
Mm-hmm.
company.
Mm-hmm.
But I am the one who is most in charge of all of the non-technical information, and just processes, and how do we do what we do, and why do we do what we do the
Mm-hmm.
way we do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
it's always trying to find the most straightforward, but probably the most robust way of making sure that processes they make sense, they work for clients, they work for the employees, so that
Mm-hmm.
everything is moving forward, everybody understands what we're doing. And so the inherent in that, the nature of that, is for me to ask a lot of questions, for me to
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of review, for me to understand someone else's perspective on something, and why they did what they did. Not just what did you do, but why did you do it?
Right.
Right. So I think, from a professional standpoint, that helps us um, be able to refine our process so that it makes sense, and then we can serve our clients better.
Okay.
On a personal side, it also works in my own personal life when I'm, making choices about things, or trying to make decisions about stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to have a better grasp on why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's part of the reason why my degree's in psychology, because I want
Okay.
to understand why you do what you do, not just
Mm.
what you do.
Mm.
Because then that helps me understand people and their motivation for things, and then I
Mm-hmm.
can feel like I can make better decisions on their behalf, and help them with training and career advancement and whatever,
Okay.
because I want to understand what they're doing.
Do you think this has helped you communicate who you are to other people so they can understand you better?
Yeah, I think so. I think it really, because sometimes people who don't have clarity as a why, or even as part
Mm-hmm.
of their top three, can be a little bit intimidated by a person who asks a lot of questions, because then
Mm-hmm.
it does tend to make people feel a little bit on the defensive.
Right.
Um, or, they'll tell me, I just do that. And I'll say, well, why? And they'll say, well, because. And I'll say, well, because why? And they look at me like, I don't know. I just do. And so it
Yeah.
does tend to be a little bit irritating.
Right. Right.
So, so this does help me in my life with my kids and my husband. And when they understand that Dena just needs to know. And so I also know when I've irritated them. They're like,
Right.
enough already, mom, stop asking questions, so it does help me, but yeah, it does also help them understand who I am and why
Right.
I'm asking. I'm not trying to be nosy, and I'm not trying to put people like defend yourself, but
Right.
I do genuinely want to understand how they see things from their perspective, how they interact with it, and why they do what they do.
Fantastic. All right. So how did you feel about the actual discovery process itself?
So when I went through the questionnaire, I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. There were definitely specifics that I could say, yep, that's exactly me. And then
Mm-hmm.
things that are like, no, that doesn't apply to me at all. But I thought it was validating, I think, more than anything else.
Okay.
Um, Again, because I've done a variety of different personality profiles in the past, and
Mm-hmm.
we did the disc profile.
Yeah.
Um, so I do kind of have a sense of what my personality is like, but
Mm-hmm.
understanding what my motivators are is
Mm-hmm.
just that next step that took me beyond just, oh, well, you're an EFTJ, and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, I know I'm an extrovert. I know that I generally tend to be intuitive in my decision making process, but I don't. But again, and here I come back to, well, why am I so comfortable making decisions based on intuition and not always with all the data?
Right.
Well, I think that goes back to, I want clarity, but I also, my how is to make sense. So I can
Right.
take volumes of data and quickly
Yeah.
process that and come to
Yeah.
a decision. So it feels intuitive, but it's actually not. It's me doing some discovery because
Right.
I've done that my whole life. So it was very interesting to see that component laid out alongside the personality profile. So that was very helpful.
Fantastic. So my last question for today, would you recommend others to take their why?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. For sure. For sure. I think it's a good validation tool for ourselves. It helps us when we're interacting, particularly for me with new employees, when I bring people in and they get to see my why and I see their why and I understand, okay, so this is an important aspect for them. If trust happens to be, their priority. Okay, well, for me, that's kind of low on the list of things. I don't necessarily operate in that realm, but I do think it's important to understand it so that way I can communicate effectively with them. And if for them clarity is not a big deal or mastery is not a big deal, but they understand for me, then when I'm coming and asking, well, why'd you do this, or how come you did that, or what made you decide to go that direction, or why, then they're not feeling like they're in the hot seat. They're just understanding that that's part of who I am, and that's how I uncover information so I can make decisions and hopefully support them in what they're trying to do. So yes, I think the why, fundamentally, I think the why helps with better self-reflection, better self growth, and being able to acknowledge, here's my strengths and here's some areas for opportunity that I can grow in. And then for other people to know who I am and be able to relate to me and not be surprised when they are like, oh, okay, well, or annoyed, when they think, man, I don't understand why that's such a big deal to her. Well, now you know.
Right? It is who it is, right? You know my why, my how, and my what. It's pretty easy.
Exactly.
Right?
So,
all right. Fantastic. So, Dena, thank you very much for today. We do appreciate it. Encompass Technology for your stress-free IT, and Telomack Cabling Solutions for all your cabling and security camera solutions, right?
Absolutely.
All right. The best in Houston.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, Dena. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.